let's take a moment to explain to people adverse possession. And the reason that you never hear about it is because it never happens, all right? So under adverse possession laws, sometimes somebody else's property can be your property, or stated in another way, sometimes your property can become somebody else's property. Historically, it meant that if they were to fence in, if it's your property, if somebody came and fenced it in and openly used it in a hostile way that you were aware of, eventually that piece of property would become their piece of property. However, there is one thing that stops adverse possession in its tracks every time, and that is not only do they have to fence it in and use it in an open and hostile way, they have to pay the real estate taxes on it. Yeah. And that's never going to happen. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Because every year the real estate taxes for your piece of property are mailed to you, and you're paying those real estate taxes.
And so even if all the other elements are met, it would be a rare situation, or never, that they're paying the taxes on that little piece of property.
I've been a lawyer for 35 years. Have I ever done an adverse possession case?
Have you, Tom?
No.
That says it
so
probably.
Where this applies to a lot of people is most commonly it comes to me in this form, okay? Tom, my neighbor put a fence up on his property. That fence is 1 foot inside my property line. In other words, he has fenced in 1 foot of my property, is now on his side of the fence. Mm-hmm. Will that 1 foot of my piece of property become his piece of property someday because he's fenced it in? The answer is no. Mm-hmm. The only way that would happen would be if he paid real estate taxes on that 1 foot, and he's not going to pay real estate taxes on that 1 foot. When people say, well, Tom, you know what, that my neighbor just put up a fence and it's 1 foot on my piece of property, what can I do? Well, guess what? If your neighbor erected a fence and that fence is sitting on your property, that makes it your fence. Mm-hmm. And therefore, you can leave it there if you want to, or you can pick it up and throw it back on your neighbor's property if you want to. Maybe not be the most neighborly thing to do. But one thing that I have done in the past is that I have had, when the neighbor's fence is on your piece of property and you really you're uncomfortable about it, even though I'm telling you don't worry about it. Mm-hmm. If you're really uncomfortable about it, what we do sometimes is we would go to the neighbor and say, look, we want you to sign a document where you acknowledge that your fence is on our property. We're going to record that document in the public records. That document specifically states that because your fence is on my property, it makes it my fence, but I'm going to let it sit there. And then we put that into public records, and then when the neighbor sells a piece of property, the next owner is on notice what's going on.
Just like you told the caller, and that's the perfect way to do it. Because, again, everybody's on notice. Not
required. Don't have to do it, but if you're really uncomfortable with your neighbor's fence being on your property, but you want to leave the fence there, it's a nice way to resolve it.
I think it's a great solution.
Thank you. I made it up myself.
Well, it's a great solution, Tom.
Thank you, Chris.
Good job.
I appreciate it.